Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of an extra slice of history with the Butterfly Princess. This week, I'm starting off a six-part series of the extra slice of history. I'm going to be discussing over the next few weeks the lives about of the six wives of Henry VIII. So this series is going to be called Six Wives as part of the an extra slice of history series. So firstly of all, in today's episode, I'm going to start with the first wife of Henry VIII, which was Catherine of Aragon. Now, Catherine of Aragon and Henry VIII were married for 20 years, over 20 years. They were happily married until obviously Anne Boleyn came along, and that was how his marriage to Catherine of Aragon fell apart, because he felt like he was ultimately in love with Anne Boleyn, and in order to divorce Catherine, Henry broke with the realm and proclaimed himself head of the Church of England. So Catherine of Aragon was born in 1485, and she died on the 7th of January 1536. Although she was the wife of Henry VIII, she wasn't intended at first to be the wife of Henry VIII. She was actually, in fact, betrothed to Henry's older brother, Arthur, who was next in line to the throne, after Henry VII. But unfortunately, Arthur died, and that left Catherine a widow, and there was all sorts of things going about, when it first came about that Henry wanted to divorce Catherine because he wanted to marry Anne Boleyn. Obviously, once Henry became king, he ultimately wanted to produce a male heir to the throne. Now, Catherine and Henry did have multiple children, but unfortunately, not a lot of them children survived. A lot, they either were miscarried pregnancies, or they died from infancy. Their only surviving child was Mary, who would become known as Mary the First and Bloody Mary, when she took the throne in 1553. Let me just read. She was born in Spain, and she was the daughter of the King Ferdinand of Aragon and Queen Isabella of Castile. I've already mentioned that I've already mentioned that Catherine married Henry's brother, Henry Arthur, but he unfortunately died of the sweating sickness at Ludlow Castle. And this was a political match. This marriage was made for political reasons by Henry's father, Henry VII, Henry Tudor, because he knew that Isabella and Ferdinand, the parents of Catherine of Aragon, had great influence over a great political influence on the continent. Um, um, so Prince Arthur and Catherine of Aragon married on the 14th of November 1501, but they were betrothed for a period of 12 years before the marriage took place. However, like I've said, the marriage between Arthur and Catherine didn't last long. Arthur, who was the next in line to the Tudor throne, was very prone to bouts of sickness and ill health, and 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 shortly after the wedding took place, 5 months after the wedding took place, Prince Arthur succumbed and died of a regional outbreak of the sweating sickness. We will learn more about the sweating sickness in later years, during Henry VIII's reign, because Henry VIII was very fearful of the sweating sickness, and he was very fearful of catching it, and he was absolutely distraught when his beloved Anne Boleyn caught the sweating sickness, though she ultimately survived it. Um, um, so, despite Catherine being very young, she ultimately, overnight, she became known as being the next in line to the throne to be the next Queen of England, to the dowager, to a dowager princess. Um, um, However, following the death of Henry Tudor, the father of Henry VIII and Prince Arthur in 1509, because Arthur died in 1501, the line of succession then passed on to Henry, so he took the throne in 1509 after his father's death. And that's when Catherine and Henry got married. And Henry was 18 at the time, and Catherine was 23, so there were about 5 years age difference between them. Not many years, but not many years age difference. Um, and through this marriage, he received a rich dowry from Catherine. Um, um, and he ultimately believed that through this marriage he could put his stamp on the fledgling Tudor dynasty, because don't forget, the Tudors had come to the throne of England through the Battle of Bosworth by ending the Wars of the Roses in 1485, because, as we know, Henry Tudor defeated Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth in 1485. So the Tudor throne was never safe and secure, and the only way to secure that was to produce male heirs. Um, the annulment took place in 1533. This was when um, you know, Henry decided that he was fed up with Rome, and he decided that he wanted to marry Anne Boleyn, so he declared himself the supreme head of the church. Like I've said, they had a lot of children together, Henry and Catherine, a total of 6 children, some of them boys, but ultimately only one survived infancy, which was Mary Tudor. She would rule for a period of 5 years from 1553 to 1558. Um, um, and because of the reason that ultimately Catherine was unable to provide Henry with a surviving male heir, he ultimately blamed his first wife for his failure, and he actually came to believe that he was being punished for marrying his dead brother's wife, because and he took prestige in a passage in Leviticus in the Bible that states, if a man, if something along the lines, it goes as, if a man marries his brother's wife, they will remain childless. So that's ultimately why he decided to end the marriage. Um, but Catherine, being a strong-willed, independent woman, she didn't give up too easily. She actually spoke to him and said that she was his one true wife, and that she claimed that her marriage to Arthur was never consummated. So when she married Henry, she was a tree maid, tree virgin, but Henry didn't believe that and ultimately wanted the marriage to be ended. Um, um, and through all this, like I said, Henry Henry distanced himself from Rome and declared himself the new supreme head of the church from the creation of the Church of England. At this time, it was widely believed that um, Anne Boleyn was pregnant with Elizabeth, who would become Elizabeth I, and he married he married Anne Boleyn in order for that pregnancy to become legitimate, in order so that Elizabeth wouldn't be born a bastard. And it was through the new Archbishop of Canterbury, uh, Thomas Cranmer, who was a big supporter of Anne Boleyn, who finally annulled the marriage, the Henry VIII's marriage to Catherine of Aragon. It's been argued that Catherine both won and lost her cause, so there were no winners or losers really. She won her case in the battle in the case of Rome, because because Rome ultimately declared her marriage safe, but she lost because she had chosen because Henry had chosen Thomas Cranmer to be the new Archbishop of Canterbury in the year 1533, and he did this within the ultimate knowledge that he would grant a divorce between Henry and Catherine. After the annulment and the divorce, Catherine took a step back from public royal life. She was no longer permitted to see her daughter Mary, and this upset her a great deal. And she lived in less comfortable circumstances, moving between remote country homes. When Anne Boleyn gave birth to Elizabeth, the future Queen Elizabeth, this pushed Mary further down the line of succession, and Mary being declared a bastard because Henry and ultimately persuaded Henry to only succeed the children that he and Anne would have to the line of succession. So Mary lost her princess title and was known as Lady Mary. Like I said, and she ultimately died on the 7th of January 1536 in Huntington, England, likely due to a form of cancer. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. That concludes this week's edition of An Extra Slice of History with the Butterfly Princess. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.